Minasan, konnichiwa. Do you want to... Oh, I must have got a stomach ache. Oh, I shouldn't have eaten so quickly. Give me a cup of tea. My name is Jen, and today we're going to talk about something called informal contractions. I often hear many of my students tell me that they get confused when people are using words that don't sound like real words, or when they hear native speakers speaking English very quickly. This is because when most native speakers are speaking, we often use informal contractions, which is where we take two or more words and we stick them together and say them really quickly like it's one word. Doing this helps us to speed up our conversations. So today, I want to introduce you to several of the most popular informal contractions so that when you're listening to native speakers, you can improve your understanding, and the more you listen, the more you'll get used to these informal contractions, and then you can start to use them in your conversations and sound more like a native speaker. So in the introduction today, you could hear 4 contractions. The first one you could hear was musta. This does not mean mustard, it's musta. Must have becomes musta in English, right? I must have eaten too much. Shoulda, some people often tell me they think it sounds like shoulda. I'm not sure about that, but shoulda is the contraction for should have. The formal way to say this would be should've, but in informal speech, most people say shoulda. I should have been more careful. The next one that you could hear was gimme, gimme. Gimme is actually an informal contraction for give me. This is actually a little bit rude. When I was a kid, if I said gimme whatever please, many people would say gimme never gets, don't you know your manners yet? So it's not always polite to use gimme, but you'll probably hear other people, native speakers, saying gimme. Especially when they're ordering food in a restaurant. Give me a coffee, please. Give me a cup of tea. Cuppa. Cuppa is a contraction for cup of. A cup of tea. A cup of tea. Okay? In Japanese, there's this creature called a cuppa, which maybe some of you are familiar with, or cuppa sushi. When native English speakers say cuppa, they're not talking about this creature, they are talking about a cup of something, a cup of coffee, a cup of tea. So these were the 4 informal contractions that you could hear in the introduction. Now today, from this point on, what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn the subtitles off. Dun dun dun. From this point, no subtitles, and I'm going to pretend to have a phone conversation with a friend using some contractions, some informal contractions. Okay? So I want you to listen very carefully and see if you can still understand the conversation, even though I will be speaking quickly and using many informal contractions. So, I'm glad I got a hold of you. I'm kind of hungry, Jeet. Do you want to grab a bite together? I bet you'll love the new restaurant on Danda Street, because I know you love Japanese food. I've heard a lot about it. It's a great place. We totally have to try it out. How'd you feel about that? I don't know if we gotta make reservations or not. Let me check and I'm gonna call you back. Alright, I hope you enjoyed that phone conversation and that you could understand what I was saying. Let's bring the subtitles back and talk about all of the informal contractions that you could hear in the phone conversation. So the first contraction that you could hear was sup. Okay? This is very, very informal. Sup is actually short for what's up. What's up meaning, hey, how are you doing? What's happening right now? Okay, so sup. The next contraction that you could hear was ya. I'm glad I got a hold of ya. How you doing? Ya is short for you, kinda. I'm kinda hungry, kinda. Kinda is the contraction for kind of, right? So, it's kinda cold in here. Jeet, okay? So jeet technically is, did you eat? Did you eat yet? Right? I'm inviting the person to have dinner with me, so I want to find out if they have already eaten or not. So did you, Jew, right? So did you often becomes Jew, and then eat. So jeet, Jyuana. So Jew is do you, did you or do you, in this case do you, and wanna is one of the most popular contractions. Wanna is want to. Betcha'll. betcha'll. Bet you will. Bet you will. Betcha'll. Betcha'll. Okay? So it's informal contractions contracting 3 different words together. Same with jeet, did you eat? Betcha'll. Right? So 3 words into one, which is why if you're not listening carefully to native speakers, you might not understand. That's why hopefully these informal contractions are going to be helping you. Cuz is not really a contraction, it's just the short form of because. Because. I'm happy because you're watching my video. Alotta. Alotta. Okay? A lot of is the informal contraction for a lot of. Right? I heard a lot of good things about it. But as a native speaker, I don't usually say, I heard a lot of good things about it. That's so long. If we want to speak informally, we usually want to speak faster, so I heard a lot of good things about it. Hafta. Hafta. Maybe you can guess what hafta is. Yeah, hafta is have to. Have to. Right? So, I have to go to the washroom. I have to go to the washroom. How'd you feel about that? How'd you feel about that? How would you? How'd you feel about that? Howja. Howja. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. Which is I don't know. Lemme. Right? Lemme is the contraction for let me. Right? So after question of the day, I always ask you to answer the question in the comments. I say, let me know in the comments below. Let me. You've heard that one, I hope. The very last contraction, informal contraction that you could hear me use was gonna. I bet you've probably heard this one before. Gonna is the contraction for be going to, right? I'm gonna, he's gonna, she's gonna, right? So going to. So now that we've talked a little bit about some very popular informal contractions that you can hear native speakers using, first step for these contractions is listen to them, get used to hearing them and understanding to improve your listening comprehension. After that, you can try using them. The whole point of using these informal contractions is to speak faster, speed up your conversation, okay? The other point that I wanted to mention to you was, you don't have to use these contractions. You don't have to. Okay? It's perfectly normal and acceptable to just speak clearly. The most important thing in your speaking is to make sure you have clear communication with someone. So these contractions are optional for you to use. I recommend using regular speech, not contractions, until you get used to these contractions, okay? But you should be able to listen and understand what other people around you are saying. The final thing I want to mention about these contractions today is that they are called informal for a very good reason. In formal situations, if I'm speaking to my boss or speaking to someone who's important, I will not use these contractions because they're too casual. In a business meeting, for example, you probably will not hear these expressions being used. These contractions are used only in speaking, okay? You can say hafta, gonna, wanna, neeta, but you cannot write these contractions. So today, you learned over 20 different informal contractions that can hopefully help you to understand native speakers more and eventually make you sound more like a native speaker yourself. And now it's time for question of the day. Today's question is, what'd you do last weekend? What'd you do last weekend? Let me know in the comments below. Mina, thank you. Ganbatte ne. Jane. The expression, the idiom, grab a bite to eat means, hey, would you like to go out and get some food together?